Happy Pride! I am Idol King. I am a book-loving drag king, and I thought the best way to kick off this little video adventure would be to pick out some of my favorite queer books that I've read over the past couple years. And to get started, we have Hell's Heart by Alexis Hall. I finished it this month. Like, I could not put this book down, okay? It is described as a sapphic Moby Dick in space, and that is very accurate. Very accurate. There's also a little bit of Gideon the Ninth in there because when humanity took to the stars, so did the church, but also so did capitalism, and those two are married, okay? The church and capitalists, they are together. But our main character, she just loves to get it on, but she prefers women. The places where Moby Dick comes into play is there's Q, the harpooner, there's A, the captain. There's a little bit of non-binary representation because the first mate uses they them pronouns. And like they don't even get into it, they just go straight into referring to the first mate with they them pronouns, which beautiful, okay? Not even questioning it. Very funny book, honestly. There's a lot of humorous moments. They refer to the substance that they're pulling from the Leviathan and spermaceti, and it's like very much aware of how amusing that word sounds when used over and over again, especially when shortened. It's a reference to what was pulled from whales back when whaling was a more prominent thing, but now they're pulling it from the creatures that are in the atmosphere of Jupiter. Again, it's a Moby Dick retelling with lesbians. So, honestly, very good book. Very, very good book. Also, look at that. Look at that thing. I could not pass by the book with just that eye staring back at me. Like, I had to pick it up. I had to figure out what was going on. Another very good queer read that I read this year was apparently Sir Cameron Needs to Die by Greer Struthers. I was laughing the entire time reading this. Like, gay rom-com? Yes, that is what this is. This is a gay rom-com. Sir Cameron, he is only attracted to men. He kind of struggles with it though, because in this fantasy setting, again, the church is prominent and the church says, nah, we're not into that. You can't be that way. So it's a very good book. There's a point in it. The reason there is a vulture, look at that. There's a vulture on the cover because at some point in towards the beginning of the book he gets turned into a vulture by the villain who he's hiding out with. The premise is the big bad is trying to destroy magic. The church does not want him to destroy magic. They they have a prophecy that the only way they can defeat the villain is if Sir Cameron dies. Sir Cameron is not keen on dying. So he runs to the one person who wants him alive. In theory. There's a little bit more shenanigans involving turning him into he gets turned into a vulture, he gets turned into a woman. He actually seems to enjoy being a woman for a little bit. So there's a little there that's an interesting storyline. He even so he has a little bit of a gender discovery moment here where yeah, he's a gay man, but like masculinity, it's not set in stone. And we love that for him. We love that for him. Another queer book that I read. This one we get away from the funnies, okay? Under the Rainbow by Celia Lasky. I feel like this is a bit more of an important queer read because it talks about queer people in a red state. The premise is this Now you see me, now you don't. The premise is this queer task force identified the most homophobic town in America and then goes there to try and like bring pride there. It goes about as well as you expect it would go. The people don't aren't really welcoming of this task force, and these people who are from LA and New York City don't really understand how people are in this tiny town in Kansas. The thing is, there are queer people in this tiny town, and the book jumps point of view from character to character to character, showing their perspective, showing what their lives are like, and honestly, there's moments where you start to understand the other side of like they don't know how to handle change, and this goes for both sides. It's the understanding the other side of what people grew up with. And over time, the characters, the town and the task force start to become more familiar and recognizing that they're all people. They are all people. There are some members of this town who may never really warm up, but there's also queer people in this town who eventually are able to come out because the visibility is improved. Honestly, there was a point in the book where I wanted to put it down because it was hitting a little close to home. But by the end, I almost cried because it honestly has been beautifully handled, in my opinion. Something I've been wanting to do for a minute, but I haven't actually sat down to film one of these, is I do love a good blind box. And we have a Miniso in our mall. And the other day I went and I got one of these Monbu emotional weather station blind boxes. And inside of it I pulled the Silent Abyss. And they are super adorable. But for this I actually have two. I have two blind boxes. I have two. Let me see if I can hold them up together. I have two that I would like to open up with y'all watching. Needless to say, I kind of hope I don't get another Silent Abyss, but I like my odds that I won't end up with two. I'm not entirely sure which one I would hope to get. I kinda... Honestly, I hope one of them ends up being the Lost Shadow up there in the top middle, but we're just going to see. We're going to see. Alright, I have not looked in the bag. All I've done is torn it open. But let's find out what this is. Okay, what are the odds? I literally said I kind of hope it's Lost Shadow, and the first one of the two I open is Lost Shadow. What are the odds? I don't have a guess for the other one, okay? But this is adorable. They're adorable. So, now that I've accidentally opened my kind of hope I get this one, let's find out what's in the other box. I got another Silent Abyss. I got another Silent Abyss. Like I said, I had a feeling I wouldn't get that both boxes would end up being Silent Abysses, but this amuses me a little bit. Just real quick, I want to show you, look at his little lightning bolt. His feet turn, his hands turn. He has this little lanyard. That's Lost Shadow. And this is Silent Abyss. And I want you to see he's got little skulls in his eyes. He's got his little horns. He's got a little cross. He also has these tiny little bat wings. Like, I love the detail on the Silent Abyss. Like, gorgeous. And the fact I wound up with two of these, wild. Wild. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with the duplicate, but we'll see. The next book also talks a little bit about community, but this one is one that I read last summer, and it's called The Z Word by Lindsay King Miller. And this one is the zombie apocalypse is happening, and it is happening during Pride. The Pride organization, the local Pride Fest, it's just kicking off. They're having their big pre-Pride party, going we made it. It's June. We're about to have our Pride Fest. We're gearing up for the parade. It's all going to go great. Zombie outbreak. It's a zombie outbreak. There's a chaotic bisexual who has one of her exes is working with the corporate sponsor who is turning out to be pretty shady in the book. There is a drag performer who absolutely fabulous. Love them. I I love them. There's a sword lesbian. There's a it's honestly it's just a beautiful cast, and they're all working together to try and survive, and it's great. Again, I did read it last year, so my memory is a bit more fuzzy. And the same can be said about the final book on my queer reads list. That would be Song of the Huntress by Lucy Holland. This is historical fiction taking place in England before it was fully united as England. There's fairies, there's magic, and again, the church. The church is in here. The queen is bisexual. She has a lover who is this huntress who has been basically the huntress made a deal with the Fairy King, and the main reason I had to recommend this is because the king, he is asexual but doesn't really, he hasn't come to terms with that. He doesn't have a word for it because the word we know he didn't have. Um, Also, he's having to deal with, he has magic, and the church does not approve of magic. But also, one of the tensions is his lack of attraction. Has The blame is falling on the queen for why there's no heir, and it's not him putting the blame on her, it's the people around them putting the blame on her. The way she's coped with it, because she doesn't know yet that he's asexual. How she copes with it is she goes and fights, which does not help the rumors any. While she's out fighting, she encounters the huntress, and honestly, I couldn't put that book down either. But yeah, those are my queer picks. Just wanted to share them and be a part of the June books. I am Idle King, and thank you so much for watching my first little video. If you want to see more of this, hit the like and subscribe. I get to say that now. Um, I've been trying to figure out some ideas on what to do. I want to make more bookish content and more lists of books that I have enjoyed. If there's a book that you want to hear me talk about, drop it in the comments. Maybe I've read it. I read quite a bit, not just queer rom-com books. I read literary, I read contemporary, I read fantasy, sci-fi. Like, I am all over the place. Okay? I even read a little bit of horror, a little bit of mystery, some thrillers. I can't think of a genre that I haven't read, to the point where I had a reading challenge earlier this year that was pick a book in a genre you don't read, and I picked a play. If that tells you anything, like how hard it was to pick a genre I hadn't read. And thank you so much for watching.